Maybe this is the kind of thing our next guest meant when he wrote this week, quote, "These are not normal times. These are extraordinary times, and extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures." The man who wrote that joins us now, Dan Rather, host of The Big Interview on Access TV and the proprietor of News and Guts, which he describes as his new digital news feed. Mr. Rather, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Great to see you. Always glad to see you.
When you say extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, what do you mean by both of those things?
Well, first of all, extraordinary times, absolutely unprecedented. We have never been through a time quite like this any time in our history. This twilight zone quality to what's going on. We've never had this before at any time in our history. Now, calling for extraordinary measures, such measures as, if you don't like what's going on, get organized and take some action. It's good to speak out. It's good to march. But if you want change, you have to do what the Donald Trump forces did. Organize, get to the polls, get other people to the polls, be willing to run yourself, put yourself on the line. That's what I meant when I said calls for extraordinary actions.
What do you, we really haven't seen, I'm always so afraid of the word unprecedented because I feel like you always find something that you've forgotten about that was kind of like this. But we have never seen protests against a new president on this order this quickly.
Not on this scale.
No. We've never had a president's inauguration dwarfed by the protests against it that came the next day.
No, we had very large protests against Lyndon Johnson, a sitting president, but not when he was elected, if you will. But when we say unprecedented, I, like you, I'm a little wary of that word, but it is, in this circumstances, apt. For example, there's never been a time when the American people within themselves, a large majority of them, are either terrified or something close to terrified. I'm struck by how many people I meet who say, listen, are you terrified about this time? My answer is no. I'm determined, but I'm not terrified, because being terrified is not really in the American character.
And people are saying they're terrified because they don't know what's going to happen next. It's the unknown, or because they feel like they do know what's going to happen next and they are scared of that?
Well, they know what has already happened. Such things as the inaugural address, such things as the appearance before the CIA, that unfortunate appearance, to say the least, on Saturday. They've already seen what happened, so they're fearful that what they've already seen is just a beginning to what's going forward. And the business of making enemies everywhere you turn, trying to, doing things that may make an enemy of Mexico, China, everybody except Russia, and speaking out against almost everybody who's ever done anything that Donald Trump considers to be not in his interest or in the interest of the country, except Vladimir Putin. People see this and they shudder. Now, my answer is, don't shudder. If you don't like it, get out and dedicate yourself to change. But when I say it's a twilight zone, it's a very weird feeling to be in the country just now, because we as a people tend to be, yes, a determined people, very proud of our country. But we like our leaders, and almost without exception, we've had leaders who had at least some essence of humility about them, gratitude that they're in the position. There's none of this going on now. And the outright lies being told, and by the way, I know you've noticed that some in the press are now beginning to call a lie when it happens.
Even in a headline now sometimes.
And the idea that there's such a thing as alternate facts, when that's not true, and nearly everybody knows it isn't true. Some may not want to accept it, but 2 and 2 equals 4. 2 and 2 equals 5 is not an alternate fact, but we're being asked on almost an hourly, certainly a daily basis, to believe that.
Dan Rather, host of Access TV's The Big Interview, thank you. Putting it in the terms of it feeling like sort of a Twilight Zone moment and just the weirdness of it, I would not have described it that way before talking to you, but I think that's exactly right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's good to see you, Dan.
Always good to be with you. Thank you.
All right, lots more to get to on this very, very busy news night. Please do stay with us.